Instruction. You have learned about women in the colonies. One woman worth mentioning again is Phyllis Wheatley. Born in Africa, Wheatley was sold at a young age to the Wheatley family of Boston. Originally intended to be a servant, she was accepted as part of the family and grew up with the Wheatley children. In doing so, she went to school and learned to read and write. She went on to become a famous poet. Other slaves were not as fortunate as Phyllis. Life for slaves was harsh, often violent, and without much satisfaction. Slaves were forbidden to gather in groups for fear that they would plan a rebellion. If slaves escaped, their return was ordered. Women slaves were of particular value because they could bear children, which would supply the future workforce. Read the historical accounts of slavery. Keep in mind that these were written in the 1700s, so the language and spelling will be different from what you are used to. Ask your teacher if you have any questions regarding what is written. Take notes in your notebook on facts that you think are important or find interesting. Answer the questions accompanying each account in your notebook. Then answer the workbook questions. Review the questions if necessary. Using source materials. Historical context. All of England's North American colonies allowed slavery until the late 1700s. By the end of the century, slavery had been abolished in the New England and Mid-Atlantic colonies. In the South, however, the enslavement of Africans continued until the end of the Civil War. Task. Using information from the documents in Part A and your knowledge of U.S. history, answer the questions that follow each document. Your answers will help you write the Part B essay in which you will discuss the similarities and differences in the ways slavery was practiced in the New England colonies, the Mid-Atlantic colonies, and the Southern colonies. Part A. Directions. Read and examine the following documents. Underline key words and make notes in the margin if you wish. Then answer the questions using complete sentences. Document 1. Before you read. The following words in the document below may be new to you. Query, folly. You may want to look them up in a dictionary. Quote, as to your second query, if enslaving our fellow creatures be a practice agreeable to Christianity, like Adam, we are all apt to shift off the blame from ourselves and lay it upon others. How justly in our case you may judge. The Negroes are enslaved by the Negroes themselves before they were purchased by the masters of the ships who bring them here. It is, to be sure, at our choice whether we buy them or not, so this then is our crime, folly, or whatever you will call it. Reverend Peter Fontaine in the Defense of Slavery in Virginia, 1757. How does Fontaine justify enslaving the Negroes? Does Fontaine think selling and buying slaves is a crime? Explain your answer. Document 2. Before you read, the following words in the document below may be new to you. Conspiracy, endeavor, dissuade, apply, iniquitous. You may want to look them up in a dictionary. Quote, there has been in town a conspiracy of the Negroes. At present it is kept pretty private, and was discovered by one who endeavored to dissuade them from it. He, being threatened with his life, applied to Justice Quincy for protection. They got an Irishman to draw up a petition to the governor telling him they would fight for him provided he would arm them and liberate them if he conquered. There is but little said, and what steps they will take in consequence of it I know not. I wish most sincerely there was not a slave in the province. It always appeared a most iniquitous scheme to me. Fight ourselves for what we are daily robbing and plundering from those who have as good a right to freedom as we have. You know my mind upon this subject. Abigail Adams. Letter to her husband John Adams, 1774. What was the conspiracy that Abigail Adams tells her husband about? How did Abigail Adams feel about slavery? Document 3. Before you read, the following words in the document below may be new to you. Servitude, institute, extraordinary, plaintiff. You may want to look them up in a dictionary. Background. Theodore Sedgwick was a pro-independence lawyer. He later became a congressman, senator, and judge of the state Supreme Court. Quote, Mumbet's character was composed of few but strong elements. Action was the law of her nature, and she felt servitude intolerable. It was soon after the close of the Revolutionary War that she chanced at the village meeting-house in Sheffield to hear the Declaration of Independence read. She went the next day to the office of Mr. Theodore Sedgwick. "Sire," said she, "I heard that paper read yesterday that says all men are born equal, and that every man has a right to freedom. I am not a dumb critter. Won't the law give me my freedom?" Mr. Sedgwick immediately instituted a suit in behalf of the extraordinary plaintiff. A decree was obtained in her favor. On this decision was based the freedom of the few slaves remaining in Massachusetts. Catherine Maria Sedgwick, daughter of Theodore Sedgwick, Slavery in New England, 1853. What clues does the author give to show that she knew Mumbet personally? Why is Mumbet's case important in the history of Massachusetts? Document 4. Before you read. In the 1700s, a long S was commonly used. It looked like the letter F. Thus, the word that looks like subscriber is actually subscriber. There is a misspelling in the fourth line from the bottom. The word goal appears instead of gaol, which is the British spelling for jail. £3 reward. Run away from the subscriber, living in Shrewsbury, in the county of Monmouth, New Jersey. A Negro named Titus may probably change his name. He is about 21 years old, not very black, near 6 feet high, had on a gray homespun coat, brown breeches, blue and white stockings, and took with him a wallet, drawn up at one end with a string, in which was a quantity of clothes. Whoever takes up said Negro, and secures him in any goal, or brings him to me, shall be entitled to the above reward of £3, and all reasonable charges paid. In what colony was Titus enslaved before he ran away? How do you think Titus would be treated when he was returned to his owner? Why do you think that? Document 5. Before you read, the following words in the document below may be new to you. Assembly. Barbarity. You may want to look them up in a dictionary. I am a poor Negro, who with myself and children have had the good fortune to get my freedom, by means of an act of assembly, passed on the 1st of March, 1780. But I am told the assembly are going to pass a law to send us all back to our masters. Why, dear Mr. Printer, this would be the cruelest act that ever a set of worthy good gentlemen could be guilty of. To make a law to hang us all would be merciful when compared with this law. For many of our masters would treat us with unheard of barbarity, for daring to take the advantage as we have done of the law made in our favor. Our lots in slavery were hard enough to bear, but having tasted the sweets of freedom, we should now be miserable indeed. Cato, a former slave. Letter and petition to the Pennsylvania Assembly, 1780. Why did Cato write his letter to petition the Pennsylvania Assembly? What experience has made the idea of slavery harder for him to bear than before? Finally, document 6. Before you read, the following words in the document below may be new to you. Discerned, effectual. You may want to look them up in a dictionary. I beg leave to lay before your lordships an account of the desertion of our Negroes. On the 9th of September, a great number of Negroes arose in rebellion, broke upon a store where they got arms, killed 21 white persons, and were marching the next morning in a daring manner out of the province, killing all they met. I was returning from Granville County, and fortunately discerned the approaching danger time enough to avoid it, and to give notice to the militia, who killed and took so many as put a stop to any further mischief at the time. 44 of them have been killed and executed. It was the opinion of His Majesty's Council that one of the most effectual means that could be used at present to prevent such desertion of our Negroes is to encourage some Indians by a suitable reward to pursue and, if possible, to bring back the deserters. William Bull, Lieutenant Governor of the Colony of South Carolina, reported to the British Board of Trade, October 5th, 1739. How many white people were killed in the rebellion? And how many enslaved Africans were killed? How did the council plan to capture runaway slaves and prevent further rebellions?